Hey, my name's Kyle Draper of the Draper Group. Lately I've been hearing a lot of talk about a new housing bubble, and I thought it was important for me to put together this presentation to dispel that myth because it's crucial for the continued growth of the housing sector as well as the economy at large, that people understand that we're currently rebounding rather than setting ourselves up for another deleterious housing bubble. CNN stirred the pot on this discussion with an article they put out on May 17th talking about how we may be at the start of a new housing bubble. And one of the chief sources of this article was a study done by Trulia. So let's take a look at that. For starters, Jed Kolko, Trulia's chief economist, begins his write-up of their findings by saying, no, we are not in bubble territory. Even with recent sharp home price increases, prices are still low relative to fundamentals and are far below bubble levels. Taking a look on the micro level, they found that 91% of America's housing regions were undervalued, with only 9% being overvalued. Now that doesn't sound like a housing bubble to me, but to be fair, let's take a close look at these 9% that they found overvalued. The bulk of this 9% came from these 6 metropolitan areas, and the purpose of this graph is to show you where we are now compared to where we were at the peak of the bubble. So in my market, Los Angeles, our home prices are only 5% overvalued. That's compared to 78% at the peak of the bubble. But, we are overvalued nonetheless in these 6 areas. So let's talk a little bit about the reason for that overvaluation and why I believe, as do most housing economists, that those will begin to stabilize in the near future. It really boils down to the fundamental principle of supply and demand. And in real estate, a great way to look at that is the relationship between month's supply of inventory and pending home sales. Month's supply of inventory refers to the amount of time that it takes the market to absorb all of the homes that are currently listed. And so in a normal market, that's typically between 5 to 6 months of inventory, but we're well under that right now. You can see here that at the beginning of the year, nationally we were at just over 4 months of inventory, but we're creeping back up to the normal 5 to 6. Now in my market of Los Angeles, last month we were only at 2.8 months of inventory, which is part of the reason why Los Angeles has overvalued home prices right now. Currently our demand is just exceeding our supply, but we're heading towards a more stabilized demand as well as price growth. This graph here shows the pending home sales over the last 3 years, and as you can see, we're finally over the historically healthy level, and in 2013 we're well over it. And now that seems a little counterintuitive if the last slide I was talking about how we're low on our inventory. But really what this means when you compare the last 2 slides is that we are selling a lot of houses. It's just that despite the fact that we're over a healthy amount, there still is an excess of demand versus supply. You have to keep in mind where we're coming from. We're coming out of a serious housing crash in which most buyers were afraid to hop in on the market because they didn't know if it was still going to be going down. Now it's clear we're out of that, and so there are years of pent-up buyer demand finally hitting the market. Fortunately, we've got a lot of new inventory coming in to satisfy this buyer's demand because, as prices continue to rise, more and more people are going to be selling their homes. Maybe they had to wait a little bit to get back above water and now they want to cash out. We're also going to have more construction that's going to be adding more inventory to the market. Another factor that's going to help regulate this demand is that we're going to see less investors competing against families looking to purchase homes. See, the investors got in when the market crashed and everything was severely undervalued, and they came in, bought these houses, fixed them up, and sold them for a higher price, helping drive prices. But now that these prices are higher, the profit margin on a quick flip is lower, so we're going to see less investors competing with families to buy homes. I think a logical way for me to end this presentation would be to show you where the experts are predicting home prices to go over the next few years, and that information is found in the Home Price Expectation Survey. So the Home Price Expectation Survey is derived by paneling nationwide over 100 economists, real estate experts, and investment and market strategists. And the thing that's great about this is you get the average of all the different opinions out there that give you a pretty well-balanced outlook of what to expect as we move forward. So these experts collectively predicted a 5.4% increase in 2013. Then you can see over the next few years it starts trickling off and just about stabilizes at 3.5% growth starting in 2016. Sure, 5.4% growth for 2013 is higher than normal, but keep in mind where we're coming from. We're coming out of a terrible crash in which prices tanked, and so there's a lot of ground for us to make up, and once we do, normal growth will resume. This graph really proves the point I'm trying to make here. Look at the bubble years, January 2000 to April 07. Now prices were appreciating 10.4% a year. That is unsustainable growth. When the bubble burst in May of 07, prices were going down 5.8% a year through October of 2011. Now that we're in the recovery phase, we're growing at 4.3%. Now that is nowhere near 10.4%, nowhere near having to worry that we're starting to form a bubble again, and you can see expected prices from 2013 to 2017 are at 4.1% a year. So while that last slide showed us the average annual appreciation, this slide takes a look at the cumulative appreciation now through 2017. And so the average of all the projections from the Home Price Expectation Survey, the third bar on this graph, is at 22.3% growth. The thing that is fascinating to me is that is exactly the same number as the pre-bubble growth over a period of 5 years. I hope that the takeaway point that you get from all of this is that prices are going to be rising in a sustainable fashion as we move forward, which makes now a great time to make your first home purchase or move up into that nicer neighborhood that you've been dreaming about. That's the end of my presentation. Thank you so much for sitting through it. I hope you found it informative. My name once again is Kyle Draper. I sell real estate with the Draper Group. I'd love to talk with you if you have any questions about either this presentation or just the market in general. Real estate is what I do, I love it, and it's what I'm passionate about. Thanks.